Yeah, it's at the end of my night. It's like we're rolling up on like 10 p.m. here. So
Man, yeah, okay.
yeah, so but it's all good though. Like I stay up late, so it's not a big deal. I typically keep the schedule just because most of the people that I reach interact with are over there anyway. So
Yeah.
it's just I usually start later in the evening and then I'll work, into the night a little bit and just kind of do that whole thing. So how are things with you? All good?
That's awesome. Yeah, man. Yeah, off to a great start today. Went for a nice little walk for about an hour outside today, which was nice. I've been looking forward to this conversation, man. So I'm super excited, for you taking the time out. It's one of those things where, I started this channel not too like about a little over a year ago. And now getting to the point where some of the people like yourself and some others who I've been watching and learning from and being inspired by, and now being able to have them on and be able to interact with them, it's a super exciting thing. So I'm feeling great, man.
Yeah, check out your channel, man. You're a madman on the keyboard.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is,
classically trained I saw as
yeah,
well.
bro.
Yeah, nice,
that
man.
that is my passion, one of my main passions. When I turned 30 a few years ago. So my birthday, 34th birthday, is in a couple of weeks. And so when I turned 30, when I was about to turn 30, I knew I wanted to get back into the music space. When I was in sixth grade, I took like 1 year of piano lessons. I was able to play by ear pretty well. My parents signed me up and I was, doing well. I did like a recital and all that stuff so I can learn proper technique and how to read music and all that good stuff. And summer rolls around and the story goes, I say, Mom and Dad, this is the sixth grader, mind you, right? Mom and Dad, can I take, the summer off from lessons and then start back up in the fall? They were like, sure, Kevin. And then never did. Took it off and then never signed, never got back up. And the thing is for me, like it was multiple years of not constantly, but like like every now and again, I would be reminded, like when I would see a movie with someone playing the piano or just a picture of a piano, I'm like, man, I really want to get back into it. But it took, 20 plus years, but here I am now. And I got my keyboard set up right over here. So like I got the whole deal over here with like the adjacent keyboards, you know what I'm saying? And I'm
Nice.
really, really loving it. And it's definitely a good vibe, man. I appreciate you checking the channel out, man. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I dabble a little bit. Like I'm not any good at any of it, but I dabble. It's just kind of one of those things that like I used to do it to where I would do instrumentals like back in the day, like in my
Ah,
20s, where I would do instrumentals. I grew up in Cincinnati, so I would
uh-huh.
do instrumentals. And a friend of mine heard my instrumentals. He had some friends that were into hip hop, so they started like rapping on them. We started
Ah,
actually like making music together, not intentional. You know what I mean? We just
uh-huh.
started doing it because they like the instrumentals. Next thing you know, they're opening up, and this was like Two Live Crew already had their day, and it was
Yeah,
like they were way past that curve, but
sure.
coming through town, and when they were coming through town, the band or the group that was going to open for them, they couldn't. So the person that knew somebody there, whatever, they ended up reaching out to the people that I was making music with, and they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then
Oh man.
they and I ended up opening up for Two Live Crew in
Oh shoot.
Cincinnati. Yeah, so basically my role in that was because I
Yeah,
was putting all the music together, so I knew everybody's lines.
yeah,
So one of the guys couldn't make it because of work, so I was like, "I'll do it," and they're like, "Okay, we need somebody to fill it."
yeah.
So I ended up going up there. So it was a good time, really good time.
So I gotta say, first of all, that's incredible. I'm so glad you mentioned that. I gotta say this, like anyone who follows you who's watching this, you do realize that the scavenger hunt to find some of your old music is gonna be on as soon as this gets released, right?
Sure, sure, but I mean it's okay. I mean this was I mean I wouldn't say it was pre-internet, but I mean it was. Let's see here, like probably that all went down probably like 19 years ago, give or take.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
luck. Good luck.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
finding some of that. Yeah.
What was the group name or what was your artist name, producer name?
It was Commodity Music
Okay.
at the time. Yeah, that
Nice,
was
man.
that was the name that they chose. Like I wasn't like officially like a part of Commodity Music outside of making the actual beats.
Yeah.
In terms of being like the fronts of it though. But the name was Commodity Music. So
Man, that's
I
so cool.
haven't even
So
looked in a really long time, but I'm sure they're around there somewhere.
yeah, for sure. And what kind of this is unexpected. I had no idea you used to produce, man. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, I
What
mean
what
I got
kind of software did you use? Oh, there you go, man. look, don't even, man. That's so crazy. I have the same one. I think that's this one, right? Is that what you just
Yeah,
held up?
that's that one. Yep,
Yeah,
that's
so I
it.
had this in my closet for so long I wasn't using it, and that keyboard that I just showed you over there, it was like last night, like at nighttime is usually when like the creative juices and stuff like that really are flowing. And so yeah, that keyboard there, I just sort of realized that I may sound obvious to some, but I can connect this to that keyboard, and now I have an amazing touch sensitive drum pad with the amazing sounds on there. So I was just like, I was up late last night, really late, but it was such a good time and such a blast.
Nice.
That's really
Love
cool, man. So you have that sitting right next to you, which means that you still dabble a little bit, or
Oh yeah. So this area right here, this one I just have it for this place, so I can just like dabble while I'm like, just like waiting for stuff or whatever.
yeah,
But my more serious area is right over here. I've got a 88 key MIDI keyboard. I've got
oh
the
nice,
upgrade
man.
of this thing. It's
Yeah,
the
two two
20.
six.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
226. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I have the 226 over there. I've got the Mac setup over there because it's a PC. So I have the Mac setup running everything through Logic.
Man,
So
that's really
yeah, man, it's fun.
cool.
Yeah, like
So
every
so
night after work, my girlfriend and I will just kind of chill in there and just kind of hang out and just kind of hammer out some stuff. But again, it's for
yeah,
fun. Like I'm not like I don't know music theory. I don't
uh-huh.
know, any of those things. I just kind of, hammer stuff out and it kind of comes out, how it comes out. So
Sure. And I could only imagine, from my experience too, it's just like you said, after a long day, like being able to do something creative where it can be stress relieving too, right? Just kind of letting it kind
absolutely.
of go without the notion of, oh man, I have to put this out or I have to do this. It's just like freedom. And it's a really blessing, I think a real blessing to have that outlet. Cause I don't think everyone has it or knows what it is for them. So to have that musically is really cool. What got you into being the what I'm gonna call like the face of YouTube support or YouTube tutorials, YouTube help? Like any video that I've been looking at, I love your style. I love the information. I love how direct, like how clear, your information is. And like you pretty much have a video on any topic that I've had, on my YouTube journey so far. So I want to know, like, okay, we talked about music a little bit. You said Cincinnati. So walk us through, as deep or as high level as you'd like your background a little bit from that time when you were doing music and kind of what got you into sort of establishing your presence on YouTube.
So when it comes to YouTube, I ended up getting into YouTube initially as a solution to an issue. And
Mm,
that issue was that, let me back up a little bit. So the whole music thing, like that was just, like that was just a period of time. Like I was having fun,
mhm,
with that, like that never really like led to anything. It was just like a hobby. But what ended up happening is during, so here, I guess it was about 14 years ago, ballpark. I got out of a relationship, and my brother, he was already working online at that point in time, doing just offering services
mm,
and like video editing for people, things like that. He was a little bit ahead of the curve, and after a short amount of time doing that type of work, he realized that he could go pretty much anywhere and do the same thing now, with the power of the internet, which ages me, right? but uh,
mm,
but with the power of the internet, he's like, yeah, I can pretty much do this anywhere. So he started traveling like all over the world, and me, because I've been self-employed in one form or fashion since I've been about 19 years old. So
mhm.
I was always working on stuff. I was either like taking the entrepreneur route or just taking like the hustler route in terms of just trying to figure out something else, to try to make money.
Sure.
And at the time, I was, heavily invested into a commercial cleaning company. We did like commercial services for large buildings, and in addition to that, I also had a door-to-door marketing company where we would literally go and just bang on doors. At nighttime, we had like a bunch of guys that we trained to do that and all of that.
Bang,
And
bang on doors at nighttime, waking people up in the middle of the night, huh?
yeah, well, no, 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 not in the middle of the night. Yeah, like wake up. No, it was
Yeah.
we would usually start after 5 o'clock because that's when people
Gotcha.
got off work. So then we would usually work from about 5 to 9 o'clock,
Gotcha.
which is a pretty cool lifestyle at that point in time as well. But
Hmm.
basically with all of that. I was in a relationship at one point in time during all of that, and then we ended up getting out of that relationship, and it was a pretty serious one. So
Hmm.
was having a little bit of a hard time with it. And like I said before, my brother was already doing like, the freelance thing. So he reached out and he was like, hey, dude, I'm in Thailand right now. I've been, because he had been here for a while. And he
Mm,
was like, if you want all expense paid trip, come over, just kind of clear your mind for like a month. If you can, have your partner, take care of the other stuff.
mhm,
And I was like, yeah. So I handed all the stuff off to my business partner at that time. And I came over here for a month, and I fell in love with the place, fell in love with the
mm,
environment. So I was like, man, this is great. Would love to be able to stay here, but I have my stuff going on back in the States. There's no way, right now. He was
yeah.
like, he offered to mentor me. He's like, I'll show you the ropes. He's like, you're going to have to figure it out, but I'll show you the ropes and, show you how to get going and all that. And so I was like, yeah, sure. So I went back to the States, ended up giving pretty much everything to my business partners. And then I started trying to work online, leveraging my design skills, which is
Mm,
what I had, because I learned Photoshop in high school and dabbled in it, for a long time.
yeah.
And I started, going really hard on trying to get customers on the internet. And I started offering design services, and I got that to a point to where it was sustainable in terms of, I could pay my bills with it, and save
Mm,
up a little bit. So I got it to the point to where I was like, yeah, I'll take that leap. And I came over here, and been here, ever since. So, going on 14 years now. But basically, while you're here, one of the problems that you run into is that, if you're in the States and things don't work out, you can always, or if you're back home, wherever, for somebody listen to this, wherever it is on the planet they're located, when you are an expat somewhere, if things don't work out for you in terms of the businesses that you're trying to get into, then what happens is you either have to start digging into your savings or investments or whatever, or you have to pack up shop and go home.
yeah.
So what happened was I was doing the design stuff, and then my brother and I, we had partnered, on his company by this time, and we had gotten a handful of really difficult clients, and it kind of took the joy out of what it was that we were doing because we're both creative people. We both just like to make stuff,
Yeah.
whatever it happens to be, and those clients kind of put us in a position to where we were like, man, all of our eggs are kind of in their basket. So,
Mm,
we can't really, cancel them out or, kind of fire them as a client.
yeah.
So because of that, we're kind of just getting the life sucked out of us in terms of, the joy of what we were doing. And
Yeah.
part of my thing of moving over here and making that commitment was, I wanted a chill lifestyle. I didn't want to be caught up in the rat race, so to speak, and, all of that stuff. I just wanted to kind of chill out and enjoy my life. Right.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
so I'm like, okay, I'm here. We have this problem. We got to find a solution for it. So he started looking into other things. I started looking into internet marketing as a possible solution. And
Mm,
that ran me into a website called the Warrior Forum. I started, just actively participating there, looking all over the internet, trying to learn everything I could about internet marketing. I
yeah.
ended up launching a product over there, and it sucked. Like, it didn't do well.
Mm,
The first one that I did, I might have made a few $100s on it, and somebody ended up stealing that product, and
mm,
I caught them, and I hit them up, and I was like, hey, these are like an exact match for the templates that I was selling, blah, blah, blah. They blamed it on their VA, which was totally cool. I was like, whatever. And instead of making it a big deal and making it drama between us, we
yeah.
were like, well, hey, we're both trying to reach the same people. We're trying to do the same thing. How can we actually work together and try to, do something together, and launch a product together? So
Yeah.
we did that, and that product ended up making almost $12,000 in the first 24 hours. So it was
Wow.
like, whoa, this internet marketing thing, you can really make money at this, right? It became
Right.
like real at that point in time.
Right.
So I continued, researching, and at that point in time, having an email list is always important, but at that point in time, the thing that I started seeing all over the place was YouTube for generating email addresses. So I was like, man, I do not want to be the person on camera. I do not want to be on YouTube. I do not want to be
Hmm.
like that dude, right? And I kept, going for it, and kept, looking for more information, and kind of had the YouTube thing kept digging into my brain, but I, kept just kind of pushing it off to the side, trying to, look for other options.
Yeah.
And it just kept coming at me, like YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's give it a shot. We'll try to get some email addresses, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. So I started publishing videos, and just like everybody else, most people, when they start YouTube channels, they have no idea, right? They're just
Hmm.
starting out. They don't know what to do.
Hmm.
So my first video was about how to overcome camera shyness. And the
Oh,
reason I made that video was because I was like, I didn't want to be that dude, right? I was like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be that. What if my brother finds out about this and gives me a hard time? What if friends back home? Oh, you're a
yeah.
YouTuber. Aren't you a bit too old for YouTube? Like all those
Yeah.
types of things.
Yeah.
And I shared in that video all of the things that helped me overcome, the fear of being on camera. And then, from that point on, I continued making videos. I wasn't doing YouTube help content at that time. It was more like, how to be comfortable on camera, how to stay focused when you're, working at a coffee shop, because that was, reflective of my life at the time.
Yep.
How to stay focused when you're working at a coffee shop, how to, how to stay motivated, like those types of things, how to name your next project, for people that are, trying to do stuff online. Those were the types of video topics that I was making content about. And then I had a very unique opportunity. And that unique opportunity is that somebody that I had watched, that I was trying, or that I watched so that I could learn about, YouTube. He was crossing 100,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. And he said, he put out a video and he said, hey, if my content has ever done anything for you, submit a video and let me know. Just kind of tell me the story. And if it's good, it might show up in the 100,000 subscriber video. So I'm like, okay, yeah, this is, a cool opportunity. Let's give it a shot. And, and I made a video and I submitted it to him. And within like 24 to 48 hours, he got back in touch with me. He's like, hey, we need to talk. And we scheduled a call and we hopped on the call and he's like, I like, in terms of how you present on camera, the video quality, the audio quality, he said, you're, just right out of the gate, you're starting off in a great way. And I would love to partner with you on another YouTube channel because I think you're kind of underserving yourself with this type of content. I think you could go broad and really have a large audience. And this particular person has tons of YouTube experience, works with some of the largest creators on the platform. So I looked at this as like, wow, this guy, right? Especially, at that point in time, I still look at him, from that perspective of a mentor. But at that point in time, it was like, wow, this big YouTuber's reaching out. And, he's saying that he thinks that, that I have what it takes to be at a level of some of the people that he's working with. So I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity. I'm going to take it. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And we started working together and it was a free thing. It was, we had an agreement to where, once things got to a certain point, then he would start, doing sponsorship, related things and stuff like that. And we were, we started on that journey and I started another channel. It's called All Our Questions. It's still on there. And he gave me advice and he said, hey, Nick, when it comes to YouTube, it's a long game. And he said, a lot of people will start and they'll go too hard. And since they go too hard, they'll end up burning out or whatever. So, I really recommend that, when you first get started, make sure that you're uploading at a pace to where you can comfortably fit YouTube into your life. Because if not, then you're not going to end up doing it for very long. I'm like, okay, advice taken. Move that advice to the side. I'm going all in. And and I ended up going pretty hard, and I was uploading a lot more content that I should have at that time. And the particular content it's educational content on just random things. And the theme of this channel is All Our Questions. And the tagline is, we're answering the world's most asked questions, right?
Wow, very cool.
So I would hop on Google and I would just be like, okay, what are people looking for? And I would find, like a question to something, and then I would have to research it and then understand it enough to be able to condense the information down to put it into a piece of consumable content, put that content together, the deal. And basically, I started publishing to that channel and I was uploading way more than I should have at the time. And I ended up burning out. I like exactly what he said, in terms of, the path that I was taking. I went too hard on it and I ended up burning out. But during that experience, I learned a ton about YouTube. And I also, started getting the feedback in terms of, the comments and the likes and people hitting me up on social media and sending me emails and stuff like that. And I was hooked. So I was like, okay, that I want to do this YouTube thing. I'm at this kind of like crossroads and I have to make a decision on if I want to continue on YouTube or just kind of give it up altogether and just keep doing the design stuff. Because at the time, my YouTube channels, they weren't making any money. So I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to my other channel because it's content that's easier to make. Because it's just, stuff based on, things that are going on in my life. So I was like, it's content that's easier to make, but I'm going to build a website. I'm going to start offering services through that website so that I can maybe not go all in on a YouTube channel yet, but I can go all in on YouTube to where everything it is that I'm doing is based on YouTube. So I came back to my main channel, stopped uploading to that one. Came back to my current channel and I started uploading, videos again here. And I started, spreading awareness about the services that I was offering on that other, on my website. And because of that website and spreading that awareness, I was able to go full time on YouTube relatively fast. And one of the things that taught me, in addition to me being hooked on YouTube and me being hooked on the engagement of YouTube and me seeing the potential opportunities on YouTube, all of a sudden YouTube became a primary traffic source for driving me business. So I was like, okay, wow, this is pretty powerful, right?
Yeah.
So let's see what we can, keep doing here. And I kept publishing content. And of course, from what I learned from the other channel, I was a lot more focused, in terms of who it was that I was reaching. But I still wasn't doing like real YouTube help content. It was more about coming up with video ideas and things like that. But I was just targeting video creators, not necessarily YouTubers.
Right.
And then I had one video that I put out about YouTube SEO, which stands for
Hmm.
search engine optimization, in case somebody listening doesn't know what that stands for. And when I published that video, people were like, wow, this is great. Could you share more like this? Because, at that point in time, I was using SEO to get most of my views. So
Sure.
I, sharing that information. So people were like, hey, can you make more like this? So I started making more, help content as people started requesting it more.
Right.
And then, 800,000 subscribers later, worked with tons of, other YouTube content creators, helped them out with their channels. My channel's doing, awesome. I'm actually experimenting with some short stuff right now,
Hmm.
on some, some blank shorts channels to see if I can, really leverage that hard. And yeah, and I get to have awesome conversations like this. So
Man.
that's kind of the backstory.
Yeah, man, that's so incredible. I really appreciate you sharing that. And I'm kind of, as someone who's watched your stuff for maybe the past year plus or something since I started my channel, hearing what got you to where you are today is so interesting and so inspiring for me. And one of the things that you mentioned just about that, what I would say serendipitous event of the person who had the $100,000 subscriber contests, if you will, right, and asked for some feedback. That those types of moments are what I just love hearing about so much. I know about the power of networking. I know that a lot of people know about the power of networking. But like, you saw this as an opportunity, and I can't imagine in your wildest dreams, right, that you sort of thought that making this video showing my appreciation for this person is going to sort of set the stage for everything that transpired since that moment. But it's just beautiful how things like that work out. And I think that like one of the other things that I find so interesting is I've been doing this kind of often. I think a lot of us find out about people that we are inspired by, or people that we're entertained by, or people that have a really, really strong presence. And a lot of us don't really take the time to think about, sort of where they came from, like where they were a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years prior. What I've been doing that's just been just a lot of fun, and it's given me inspiration is, on YouTube, going to the video content for a prominent person like yourself, and looking at and sorting from oldest to newest and looking at the person's old videos. It's so fun to do that. It's like
Yeah.
sometimes you see that level of quality from the start. Sometimes you see something totally different, like, wow, I didn't know this person was doing this type of content before. It's crazy. And then like just going little by little, and then like you see like the first video, like you probably, in your case, maybe it might be that SEO video that you mentioned. You see the first video that the view count is so much different, and then you see the person double down on that type of content because, like you said, people are requesting it. And I love that so much. I'm still very much figuring out where that exact niche is for me. I think when I started my channel, I started it with the KL experience as the prominent sort of aspect of it, without even having guests on. It was just me talking to the camera, somewhat similar to what your current channel here started with, just things that were on my mind that I thought would bring value to people. And then little by little, I'm like, oh, let me show more of my personality. Let me put my music in there, because that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm still, very much figuring out, but the journey is so incredible. It's like we live, Nick, in a time now where, we can do this with our smartphone and really virtually nothing else if you wanted, and you can be creative, and you could, you can monetize it as we both have. And it's just a really, really cool thing. You mentioned about shorts. I want to talk about that. You said specifically that you're experimenting with other channels doing shorts. So my question on that is, why other channels, and why not your current channel with everyone that's following?
It's easy with my channel. Like anything I do on my channel, any experiment that I do on my channel, it's easy. When I publish a video, there's going to be people that come in and watch it. When I
Ah,
experiment on channels that don't have anything, that literally have zero, I'm literally starting a new channel tonight. When I experiment with channels that, that don't have any following, then that means that I have to, go through the same exact process that somebody that doesn't have any following
wow.
does,
Yeah.
which then means that all the data that I'm going to get is accurate from the experience.
Mm,
If I were to, do it on my channel, then the data that I would get back from that, experiment, it would be biased to my current audience and to, the people that already enjoy me and my content and how I do
yeah.
things. So because of that, it's just a way to, one, be anonymous. Two, it's a way to, make sure that the information that I'm getting at or getting back and the experience that I'm getting back is pure.
That makes total sense. That makes total
Yeah.
sense. What's been your experience? I know Shorts has been around not too long. I've been also experimenting with that a little bit. I like the idea of being able to put content out on there that maybe shows, more of my fun or joking or silly side without sort of compromising, if you will, like I guess the audience that I've created so far on my main channel. What's been your experience with Shorts so far? Have you been enjoying it?
Yeah, shorts can definitely be powerful. It's also great for experimentation right now too, because it's pretty easy to get attention through shorts.
Yep.
But in terms of shorts themselves, I think that content creators, like if you are right now and if you're like, hey, you know what, I need to try to get some type of footholding on my social media presence.
Hmm.
Shorts is a great way to do that. So is like TikTok. It's not just YouTube, but
Hmm.
but shorts is a great way to do that because one, you can leverage YouTube Shorts, which is relatively easy to get into in terms of getting in the short shelf. All you have to do is make something that people watch for a little bit of time, make
Yeah.
them a little bit shorter. That will increase your chances of actually getting more distribution on your shorts. But
Yeah.
the idea is also like when you make a short now with TikTok, now with Instagram Reels, you can take that short and you can also put it up elsewhere. So,
Hmm.
with the video content, you could do that with Instagram back in the day. You could upload to Facebook or you could upload to LinkedIn. But, previously we didn't have the powerhouses that we currently have with vertical video. So,
Yeah.
in addition to, taking advantage of it on YouTube, you can also repurpose that content elsewhere as well. So, you get to make one piece of content and then distribute it out. And right now, this is a very unique moment in time in terms of huge transitions taking place in terms of how people consume content
Hmm.
and the way that since the vertical video thing is relatively new. I mean, Snapchat's been around for a while and the option for vertical video has been around for a while, but I
Hmm.
mean the buzz and people really paying attention to it and the platforms really paying attention to it.
Hmm.
Right now is a unique opportunity because the competition isn't there. Like for example, on YouTube, for regular videos, there's over 500 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every minute.
Hmm.
So, like if we've been on here for 30 minutes, you can do the math. Like that's a
Yeah.
ton of competition that you're up against. Now,
Yeah.
even though people are uploading like crazy to shorts, YouTube doesn't have the archive that's there
Hmm.
compared to the long form content. So because of that, people are just blowing up over shorts. A friend of mine, Benji Travis, he has a YouTube channel called Video Influencers with Sean Cannell.
Hmm.
And on
Oh,
that
nice.
channel, they just interviewed a woman who got over 1 billion views so far on her Shorts channel. So, in terms of the potential reach for YouTube Shorts, as long as you make something that people will engage with, you
Yeah.
can, you can do awesome quickly. I have a guy in my members group, in my members Facebook group. He has, I think, like 5 videos on his channel and they're all shorts and one of his shorts ended up getting him a play button. A
Wow.
100,000 subscriber play button. So in terms of the potential, it's
Yeah.
definitely there. It's just you have to, the same rules apply that applies everywhere else on the platform in terms of you have to make sure that it's consumable content that people will engage with. If
Yeah.
you can do that, then you can ride the short shelf to to internet stardom, so to speak.
Yeah. Man, that's so cool.
And
You
they're getting ready to
see,
monetize them as well through
say that
ads.
one more time.
And they're getting ready to monetize them through ads. I mean, you can already monetize through the description, through spreading awareness about things.
Yeah.
But in terms of direct monetization through ads, they're getting ready to roll that out.
Okay, so that's news to me because I knew that it wasn't monetized before. Although I have seen, for whatever reason, that on in the studio now, like you, from what I see at least, you could put the monetized thing on for shorts now. But didn't know that. I don't know if I guess they're in the process of finalizing it or something like that, right?
Yeah, the issue with that is when you are making it, when you're monetizing it inside of your YouTube studio, you're only monetizing it for when people run across it on your videos page, or if they happen to show it to somebody on the platform normally.
Yeah.
The monetization that they're going to be rolling out is directly connected to the short shelf itself. So when you actually click on that shorts option and you go through and you start consuming shorts content, if
Yeah.
you're not a premium user, then you'll soon start seeing ads.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So with YouTube right now, one of the things that I wrote down here, just I wanted to touch on is for live streaming. I know you have a live streaming component for your channel, as do I, that I'm still experimenting with, on the Twitch, not the Twitch, on Twitch, on YouTube, etc., and trying to figure out where I want to kind of focus in on. So one of the common things that I've seen on a handful of videos from people who I, value their opinion on YouTube, is people moving from live streaming on Twitch to YouTube, because they say YouTube is like a all-encompassing platform. It can do so much, and Twitch is specific to what it does, which is live streaming only. And they kind of compared that scenario to I guess Vine, right? Vine with like doing only one thing, and then once Instagram started offering video content, it was kind of like the end of Vine essentially. So I'm trying to figure out, my live streaming strategy. Does it look like me streaming on both platforms, since I'm still relatively small, and then kind of seeing where to focus in on? What would you say for someone like in my case, like who's trying to figure out what the end game is, or like in a few years from now, in terms of YouTube live versus Twitch's live platform? What do you see as like the leader in a couple of years?
Definitely YouTube without question. And the reason for that is because, one, like you mentioned, like some very successful Twitch streamers are coming over to YouTube.
Yeah.
That by itself paints a huge picture in the minds of people in
Yeah.
terms of like, hey, why are these big people leaving the platform?
Yeah.
Right.
Huge.
So,
Yeah.
when that happens, then, then everybody else tends to follow over time. But in addition to that, YouTube by itself, the discovery options on YouTube just make YouTube easier compared to Twitch as well. So a
Yeah.
lot, I mean, YouTube's hard. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that you need to know, a lot of things that you need to make sure that you're applying to your YouTube channel, and a lot of things that you need to make sure that you're paying attention to. But at the end of the day, people being able to find your content is really easy on YouTube. All you have to do is you just have to make sure that you're optimizing your videos around specific things. So, for example, in your case, you're live streaming music. So, I would definitely make sure that you implement some how-to content into what it is that you're doing. And the reason for that is because that how-to content is something that people are going to be able to find you through search. But in addition to that, like for your live streams, I wouldn't do that. But for, actual video content on a music channel, I would definitely do some how-to content. And then for your live streams, as you're pulling people in from your how-to content, those people that, that get to know you through your content and start to, like you and the content that you're putting out, those will be the people that are participating in your live streams. So, the idea is to use, video content for mass distribution. And then, as those people come in, they start interacting with what it is that you're doing, then those will be the people that start, coming in, hanging out in your live streams.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I appreciate the tip there too. I was about to write it down, but then I was remembering that this whole thing is being recorded. So I'll just, when I'm editing, I'll be reminded of it. So it's all good. The biggest, there's so many different things that we can talk about. I'll just say this first. I had a live stream recently. One of my favorite musical artists, Kanye West, had a listening party in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Fully, full, like at capacity. He's in the middle there, just basically debuting his album for the audience and for live streamers, right? So I was excited about it. I was like, I can't wait to listen to this. And I got home and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna literally sit where I'm at right now, put my camera on. I'm gonna do like a little reaction video. I wasn't gonna live stream the live stream because I didn't, copyright stuff, but I wanted to like do like a reaction as I'm listening to the album so people can vibe out with me. I didn't know what was gonna happen with it, but I called it Kanye West Donda live streaming event, right? He ended up being 2 hours late for it. And I was here like, for an hour and a half of that 2 hours. I was here sitting here. People start joining. Everyone's searching for it. Everyone wants to like look for that event on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, I'm not streaming the event, but I'm just like live streaming, like me talking about it and stuff. People were joining. I'm chatting with them. I'm asking them questions. What's your favorite Kanye album? Which album has the best intro track on it? People are like, oh, can you play some Kanye music on here while I wait? And I'm like, I can't really play the music for like, the reason, what do you call it? The copyright stuff. But I was like, I have my keyboard here. I was like, I can play some of the music if you want, put some requests in, I'll learn. So it was one of those things where I had like 140 people in a live stream. Prior to that, the most that I've ever had in a YouTube live stream, which mostly my YouTube live streams are just Chordmaster Live Piano, or just like titled something that no one's searching for, right? No one's looking for Chordmaster Live Piano, or whatever I'm titling it. It's just not, I don't want to say just, like it's downplaying, but it's me playing the piano or making a beat or doing whatever. I'll have like a handful, like maybe 6, 7 people like in those YouTube live streams. So that told me something about, like, pretty much, one of the things that I love doing, I love interacting with people during these things that I'm interested in. That thing that I just mentioned, I'm into video games. So like anytime there's an E3 event, that's like my most looked forward to event of the year, pretty much. So like kind of doubling down on people who I know are also interested in it, and being the talking face, and I can chat with them, and then I can incorporate, some of the things that I enjoy doing, whether it's musical or whatever, during these things that people are searching for. That was like a big aha moment for me on the live thing. Like, people are searching for it. Let's kind of double down on that.
Absolutely. And another thing too, just as a quick side tip, you can also use that same exact approach when you are just going live normally. So
Mhm.
when you're going live normally, the idea is like when people are searching for things, it's relatively easy to get traffic from that, just because, people are actively looking for what it is that you're making. And then when they see the handful of options that they get to choose from, then, they pick one, out of, most people aren't going to scroll, too far in the search results. So let's say out of, 10 videos or 20 videos, it's got to pick one, and then they click and then they come in, right? So it's relatively easy. The challenge comes when you are trying to grab people's attention that are not expecting to interact with your content. And when you're live streaming, that's something that you really have to keep in mind, because when you're live, YouTube is showing your content all over the platform. They're recommending it on home pages. They're recommending it next to other videos. So what you have to make sure that you're doing is that you're not necessarily thinking about search at that point in time, because it's live. So if you are relying just on people searching for it, unless it's something trending, like in your experience, but typically, like if you were to publish a live stream or video right now for a specific search term, the likelihood of that video or live stream getting 100,000 views within the next 24 hours for a term is going to be relatively low. However, if you publish a video or a live stream and it's high response, and meaning that people are going to click on it, like crazy, and then they end up watching for a long period of time, further engaging, they share it, all that good stuff. If it's a highly engaging piece of content, then you can pull 100,000 views off of the recommendation features, which are the homepage and suggested videos, within a 24-hour period. So the difference is, when you're live, you want to make sure that you're thinking about, this is going to be shown. My thumbnail and my title and the general topic of what it is that I'm going to be doing in the live stream, these are going to be shown on the home pages and suggested next to other content while I'm live. What can I do to this thumbnail and title and just the topic? Like, what can I make this live stream about in order to connect with the people that I'm trying to connect with my content? So for example, if you're trying to teach people how to do something in music, then maybe you would frame the entire piece of content topically, including the thumbnail and the title, around, learn how to, play the piano over the next hour, right? That would be one thing.
Yeah.
And then you would be targeting people that are interested in learning music. However, you could also take another approach, which is more in alignment with what you did with the Donda drop, is that the approach that you take could be something along the lines of, playing your favorite music live hyphen taking requests, right? Something along those lines.
Yeah.
So then that way you're going into a more general audience, not necessarily going after musicians, but you're just trying to get people into your live stream to where, you can just have that interaction. Maybe you can play some of the tunes that they're, recommending and things like that. So when you're thinking of getting attention on your videos, and anybody that's interested in live streaming, this is another thing that's different between Twitch and YouTube, is that, when you are live streaming, the content carries a heavier weight. And what that means is they're trying to get people into your live streams. They're showing it all over the place. So as long as you can keep people somewhat interested in your stream and you can keep them clicking on it, YouTube's going to continue to show it to people while you're live. So because of that, you want to make sure that you are including a keyword or keyword phrase around the subject matter. And also you want to make sure that you're clearly defining who it is that you're trying to reach with that live stream as well, so that you can make sure that you're leaning on the right approach, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of if you're going after people trying to learn music, or you're just wanting to connect with people, and have them, give you requests and things like that. So,
Mm,
when people are streaming, it's important to also keep your channel goals in mind and what it is you're actually trying to accomplish with the channel, all those things. Like, it's really
yeah,
important that you keep those in mind, because that also helps define the decision of, am I making this to teach people how to play, or
right.
am I making this to, to get just random people in here to interact in my stream while I play their favorite songs?
Mm, that's see, I haven't been by the way, how much do I owe you for this consultation, this one-on-one? Nah, this is great, man. You're a wealth of knowledge, but also, as I've learned, for people who have information and knowledge and experience, that's hugely important. But equally as important, in my opinion, is the ability to explain it succinctly and clearly. And I don't know if you've experienced it. I've experienced, people who have the first and not the second, from the musical
And
aspect.
executing it too. That's a whole other level too.
You
So,
said, and
you
executing
have
it.
that, but then you also have executing the things that is another part
Yes.
of it. Like, a lot of people know a lot of stuff about YouTube, but not a ton of people can actually apply the things that they know, and actually put them into effect to actually get any types of results. They're great at
Right.
telling other people how to do it, but in terms of getting the results themselves, a lot of people have that, have a struggle with that.
That's massive. That's massive. And so when you go to youtube.com, and like I was trying to like look at like the Twitch versus YouTube experience for live streaming. When you go to youtube.com and you click on the left where it says live, and you just like sort by like all of like the current live content. I was curious. I was like, all right, so like what other people out there are doing live content similar to me? Like, who's doing some musical stuff? Who's doing this type of stuff? And how easy is it for me to find that? Well, let me search for live stuff and let me filter for anything that's music related. So when I do that, Nick, and I look at everything that's there, like the things that have 100,000 and like 1 million people currently watching, there's like a lot of and this is where it's like a little bit strange to me. It's like a lot of content that it's not like a person doing something live, but maybe it's like a lo-fi music to study to, that type of thing,
Yeah,
and it's like
lo-fi girl. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Which is cool and interesting. Everyone's chatting in there and stuff, but that's not like the stuff that I'm like looking for to see who else is like doing something like a person actually doing something live. And that has been something interesting where I don't know if a lot of people are doing it or it's just hard to find, versus on Twitch. Like, you don't see most of the people on Twitch are like performing, artists and stuff like that. So maybe that could be maybe there aren't a lot of people. Maybe that's what I want to establish myself as. And the two things that you just mentioned that really resonated with me, like the titles and the thumbnails. When I look at like a list of all the live stuff going on, I have like a standard thumbnail of like a nice picture of me playing the keyboard and it's something Khordmaster Live or something like that. However, I've noticed that looking at if I'm trying to like go into someone's live, I'm a lot more likely let me know if you feel the same way or not. I'm a lot more likely to go into the live that has a thumbnail that is like an actual clip or actual shot of the actual live experience, versus like a standard thing that I'm just like gonna kind of breeze by, because there's like so much of I guess it gives me a better idea of what to expect from the live, right? Like seeing a picture of the actual live. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
everything is different. So, every content type is different. The audiences that you're trying to reach are different. In terms of, for everybody that's going to listen to this, all the different channels on YouTube. One thing that's really important to do, for every content creator that's listening to this, is to test it. So, like when it comes to your thumbnails, you should definitely test. Same thing with your titles, different structures for your titles. But
Yeah.
like when it comes to your thumbnails, you should test things exactly like that. So, when you find yourself doing things and clicking on certain things to where, hey, this is a little bit outside of the norm, like,
Yeah.
try it, right? Be
Yeah.
like, hey, for my next live stream, I'm just going to take a shot of like what's going on in the studio, and that's going to be my thumbnail. And then for
Yeah.
the one after that, I'm going to make, like a highly polished, custom thumbnail for it, and that's going to be the thing. I can tell you this, that on YouTube, 90% of the highest viewed videos on YouTube have custom thumbnails.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, custom thumbnails are definitely way more effective than just having, a screenshot, but there are also outliers. So because of that, it's important to make sure that you are testing. So if you do find that, you are clicking on that type of thing and you are trying to connect with others like you, then
Yeah.
it would also, make sense to experiment with that to see if you increase your click-through rate.
Definitely. Do you still keep in touch with the person that you mentioned who was your mentor? You still have a like
Absolutely.
tight relationship? Yeah.
Absolutely. We're
What kind of
actually doing a live stream this Saturday together. Yeah.
Oh, get out, man.
Yeah.
See, that is the type of stuff that I like, the connections with people. The connections with people. I think having this show, being able to interview people in all different walks of life, I've had different thoughts about, like, a lot of my latest episodes have been strictly musicians, artists, producers, app developers in music. Like, it's been focused a lot more on music. Prior to that little maybe 10 episode run, it's been more diverse, authors, celebrity chefs, all different types of people. Now, of course, I have the king of YouTube on today. But I think the big thing for me is kind of like realizing I love talking to everyone and being able to learn from. I think there's like a correlation. You can learn something in every single one of these conversations that I think that you could relate. I've been able to relate to, like, on my journey. One of several of the things you mentioned today, but one of which is again, just the importance of um of putting yourself out there to kind of give yourself an opportunity to connect with people the way that you did. And because people, I think there are individuals out there who might be looking for someone just like you. Sure, in your case, that's exactly what ended up happening. So that's just a reminder for me to continue doing that. And I would say, so you messaged me when we were chatting on Instagram. One of the things that I'm kind of realizing now, I've been focused on YouTube, but for a while I was really putting a lot more attention on Instagram and posting on Instagram and trying to get a presence there. And one morning, Nick, I woke up and I'm saying to myself, I'm like, why exactly am I doing this? In the sense of, I know I need to have a platform and be established on Instagram, but like the going about my day to think, oh, this would be cool to share with as a post on Instagram, and what hashtags am I gonna use, and all this stuff. That wasn't really bringing me like the amount that it wasn't pouring into my main funnel, which is YouTube. It wasn't like helping that tremendously or anything. I was putting YouTube a little bit on the side and focusing a little bit more on Instagram. But now I in social media in general, I had to take like a significant step back and kind of like remove the things that I'm realizing are just noise and are just taking up so much damn time in my life, like looking at stuff on Instagram. So I deleted everything from my phone, right, including YouTube Studio, because I was checking that way too much. I was doing the swipe down, how many new subscribers constantly, and I'm like, no, I can't keep doing it. Like I know that it's the dopamine thing. I don't know if you seen Social Network, the documentary?
I have. Yeah,
You
I
have
have.
seen it?
I've also, like, behind the scenes. I also am in regular contact with app developers as well. And
Uh-huh.
that's one of the things, like when we talk about like new features and things like that, is like, what's this going to do for dopamine? Hey, keep them coming back, keep them getting rewards and stuff as they're coming back in, because that makes people feel awesome, gets their dopamine pumping, and they'll want to
Yes.
keep opening the app because they keep seeing these rewards. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's definitely a thing for sure.
It definitely is, man. Yeah, it's a matter of getting, I guess, getting a hold of it and just being, being cognizant of what it's doing. So of course, I'm, brand building. I have a brand for myself. So of course, like my iPad, which is sitting over here, I have all that stuff still on there where I can still stay connected and stuff. But it's been great the past week for me. I mean, I'm gonna be doing some content. I'm gonna be doing some content on this. Have you heard of the phrase or the term lifestyle design before?
Yes,
Lifestyle
absolutely. Yeah,
design.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
like that
you're
was part of my thing with coming here. Was, I was like, hey, I'm going to redesign my lifestyle from the ground up, because I wasn't,
yeah,
thrilled about the life that I was living, in the States. So I was
yeah,
like, I'm going to come here and I'm going to build everything from the ground up. And the whole idea behind that, on the lifestyle design side of things
yeah,
was, basically I wanted to design my day to where I'm doing the things that I enjoy the most. I'm connecting with the people that I want to connect with the most. I'm, like, taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my mental health. I'm happy,
yep.
all of those things. So,
Hmm.
every now and then you kind of fall off the path. It just, you know how it is. So you fall
Sure.
off the path sometimes, but, being aware and mindful of that, you grab yourself, you pull yourself back on track, delete the apps out of your phone, whatever it is that you got to do. And then you get yourself, back on the right path again.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. This guy, Matt Diavala, have you heard of him
Yeah,
before? You know
absolutely.
him. So I didn't know anything about his content. I just discovered his stuff the other day, and I've been binging his content. It's been multiple things for me. I think that's like his main thing, taking a cold shower for 30 days. What did it do for me? Minimalism, all that type of stuff. And one of the many things for me musically, we were talking about music earlier. I am the guy that loves creating from complete scratch, like having nothing and be able to like put together a song from nothing versus like using
I'm the same way.
samples.
No loops, nothing. Yeah.
Okay, so yes.
Yeah.
So the garage bands of the world that people love, I haven't been able to get into. I'm like wondering why is this not for me? It's because like the vast majority of people who use that are like using the stuff that's there already. So yeah, you could relate to that. So on that same point, I am usually like, once I get a little bit tired of making this, I'm like on to the next creative idea. And I have like so many, which is not the best thing, I don't think, musically, but I have so many different musical ideas. Now I'm starting to kind of like finalize them like little by little. But I think I had to learn from watching Matt's stuff, start to finish, and your stuff, start to finish, the level of polish and the fact that it's like keeping my attention from start to finish is something that I am now actively thinking about for all of my content that I put on my channel. And so what that means for me a little bit is, okay, taking a little bit, it's going to take longer for me to take this episode or any other episode, take a little bit longer time for me to edit it and maybe make it so that instead of having the full hour conversation, maybe it's 20 minutes, but it's like literally every single thing that's said on here is like valuable. Even though this chat, to be honest, like mostly everything, I think at least, has been really, really helpful and been engaging. So maybe it won't be that 20-minute thing. But like, what about the idea of after this conversation is over and I have my video done, like I experimented with this a while ago, like taking my professional camera here, right? And like, after I'm done editing this and spending a little bit of time thinking about the top 3 things that we talked about, like having a looking nice, set myself up, sitting over here and recording like a 2-minute intro, like, what's up, guys? Khordmaster here. Today I have a really great episode for you guys I want to share with you. And it's like, that's the intro. So people can watch that and decide whether or not they like it, as opposed to the easier way that I've been doing, which is, I'll start the episode with just the first moment that's just really interesting to me. And then just start it there, which has been very helpful doing it that way too. But it's like little things like that, to try to experiment, like you kept saying, to kind of figure out what is going to provide the best quality content for your viewers.
I can tell you right now. Okay, so here's what you need to do. When your videos first start, you need to just confirm that they clicked on the right thing and you're going to give them what they expected. So the part of that is when you are, we call that the hook, right? So when it comes in, you're hooking them. The idea comes from, like you're catching a fish, so to speak. But that's called a hook. And the idea is that when you're putting your topic, like you're deciding what you're going to make the video or live stream about, when you're putting that together, you're putting your thumbnail together and you're putting your title together, you want to make sure that you're also thinking about, this is part of the hook. Because, right here, I'm kind of building up an expectation of what somebody might get if they click on this video. So as soon as your video starts, then what you want to do is you just want to confirm with them that they clicked on the right thing. They're not getting clickbaited. They're in the right place. And instead of having like a 2-minute intro, it would be better to, introduce yourself as quickly as possible, because remember, they click on it for the people that don't know you yet. They click on it for, for what it is that they think they're going to get out of the video. And that's always the case. But, people typically click on creators they like more. But the idea is you want to make sure that when they click on that you start getting into the content. So for example, one of the things that you had mentioned is you would introduce yourself and then you would start talking about, the things that might be coming up in the episode and things like that. Instead of taking that approach, think from a viewer focused perspective. So think it through in terms of, okay, if somebody clicks on this video, what are they going to expect to get out of what it is that I'm promising from the outside of this particular video? And then what I need to do is I need to confirm that once the video starts, and then I need to build the entire, introductory sequence around them and what it is that matters to them. So instead of talking about all the different, things that they might run into during the conversation, focus them on like a thing or two. And, like, you're going to learn this and you're going to learn this and, like that type of thing, versus a long drawn out thing to where you're just talking about a bunch of random things. Like, make the content about one thing and then get them into that one thing as fast as you possibly can. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense, man. Putting yourself in the viewer's shoes, because if I were to go into a new video of a person who maybe I'm not familiar with, and it was long, like I said, if it was 2 minutes long and I didn't feel like I was hooked, for lack of a better term, I may or may not stay for the rest of the however long the video is. So that does make a lot of sense. It's very interesting. It's like for YouTube to be successful, from what I'm understanding, it's not just doing what you want to do on the platform. You certainly can do that, but like you have to kind of be very strategic in order to be successful, like if that's what you're after,
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
that definitely makes sense.
People can get lucky, right? Don't get me wrong. People can get lucky. They can, publish, like a handful of videos. Some of them do well.
Yeah.
But the strategy part comes for long term. Like if you're somebody that wants to, for anybody that's listening, if you're somebody that wants to do YouTube as either a hobby or like a side hustle, or it's something that you want to, just go all in on, then
Yeah.
it's really important to make sure that you're being strategic and intentional about everything it is that you're doing around your YouTube channel. That
Mm.
comes down to the specific videos that you're making, how your channel's laid out. If you're trying to monetize it, exactly how you're going to monetize it. Like map that stuff out now. Even if you don't have a channel yet, map out what are all the different ways that I could monetize this. Even though there's going to be some things, initially that you might think, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that. Still write it down. Like for example, like in your case, right? You might think like right now that, there's no way that I would be able to make like my own instruments, as an example. But write it down. If, one of the things that you think that sometime in the future, maybe if the right opportunity comes, whatever, maybe I'm going to make my own plugins, maybe I'm going to make my own, instrument, or a one instrument that I'm going to focus my energy on, something like that. Just pull all of the stuff that you want to do and just think of how you can monetize it. Just because the iceberg, like when people are first coming onto YouTube, I'm sure you've seen the thing about success, right? Where, people only see that very top part of the iceberg. The opportunity on YouTube from the outside, people only see that part too. So in terms of, all of the opportunities that you have when you're first starting a YouTube channel, until you get some experience, until you get some YouTuber friends that have had success and things like that, you're just seeing, from the outside as a civilian, so to speak, as a viewer. You're just seeing, this really small amount of opportunity. You're seeing YouTubers walk into, their nice houses and things like that, but you're not seeing like all of the other stuff that also goes on, in their lives around their YouTube channels. So, if you are, wanting to, get into YouTube and you're wanting to leverage it as the opportunity that it is, then it's really important. Just like any business, just like anything else that you're trying to master or anything else that you're trying to get good at, you have to be intentional about what it is that you're doing, and you have to be strategic. Since we were talking about music earlier, Kevin, like when you first start playing music, like you don't know, like you're just like, hey, let me just bang around on stuff. I mean, I'm still doing that, but it's like, you just bang around on some stuff. And then, like if you're like, hey, I want to actively get better, then you start, trying to figure it out. Like, hey, let me at least start listening to some songs that I really like and see if I can, reduce some of that. And, you start going through whatever method it is to like learn about it and get better. And then the next thing that happens, it might be 6 months down the road, or a year down the road, or a month down the road, depending on how fast you learn. But you'll sit down at a keyboard and you'll say, okay, I'm going to make a song. And this song that I'm going to make, I'm going to take them through, these progressions, and, we're going to do this, we're going to lift them up here, and then we're going to put a big drop right here. And you start kind of planning out, what it is that you're going to do. YouTube's the same exact way. You have to, look at it, say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, just like you would with the song. This is how I'm trying to make people feel. This is the stuff I'm trying to get out of me, that type of thing. But you look at YouTube and you're like, okay, what is it that I'm trying to accomplish here? And who is it that I need to make content for in order to help me accomplish that thing, while helping them accomplish stuff, if possible, depending on the content type. And then from there, like, what can I do to add as much value to them as humanly possible? And then, of course, you got to start thinking about monetization and things like that. But then you also start breaking down, like, okay, if this is what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, this is who it is that I'm trying to get in front of, what type of content do I have to make specifically around the things that I enjoy in order to accomplish those goals, and in order to get in front of the right people consistently? Because ultimately that's what you're trying to do. Like any YouTube channel, you're trying to build a resource of a certain type of content for a certain type of viewer. Just like, the old days of TV channels, right?
Yeah.
Same exact thing, is you're trying to be a resource for a certain type of content for a certain type of viewer. So ultimately what it is that you want is, when somebody comes to your YouTube channel and they watch one video, you want to have enough content that's similar in topic to where YouTube can also have some options to recommend to them as a next up, or just suggested videos in general. In addition to that, you want them to click on your channel name and go to your channel page, and then click on your videos tab and see like, wow, this entire channel is all stuff about things that I'm interested in. I'm subscribing. I'm going to come back. I'm going to watch this because I love how this person, shared this information or whatever. And you built, an entire thing to where people can't just sit there and watch it in one session. They got to subscribe and keep coming back and watching more. So, the idea is to just make sure that you're being very intentional about what it is that you want. And that's a hard one. Okay, I'm going to be putting all this time into learning how to do this in terms of, maybe you're going to put money into it, buying cameras, things like that. So it's
Right.
like, I'm going to put all this time and energy and possibly money into this thing. Like, how do I get this to like, why? Let's do it that way. Like, why am I doing that? And really start to dig into yourself and start to uncover, like what it is that you actually are uploading to YouTube for, and what it is that you're trying to accomplish with your YouTube channel. And once you know that, everything else is actually pretty easy. Because once you know what it is that you're trying to accomplish, it's going to define who it is that you need to get in front of. It's going to define the specific types of content that you're making. The path just lays out right in front of you once you are very clear on what it is that you're trying to do with your YouTube channel.
That's definitely powerful. Yeah, niching down is one of the common things that I've heard and seen, in terms of the importance of that. I mean, hey, take my channel. I have music stuff specific, but then I also have longer form, interviews with people. And I've thought about, and I still am thinking about, like, I believe ideally, like, those things there's kind of a separate audience there. I don't know if I'm trying to force all of this stuff in a similar bucket just because it's easier for me to manage one channel for sure. But I could see, I have to figure that out if it makes sense to have a channel that's KAL Experience, which is just the long form. People are here for these interviews, and then this channel's Khordmaster is just here for like the music stuff strictly.
I would separate them. If it was my channel, I would separate them.
Yeah.
And the reason I would separate them is just because, people that are going to like hang out and listen to your live streams where you're playing piano aren't necessarily, like, they don't care about this conversation, a majority of those people. So, because of that, I would separate them. If it was my channel, like, I would definitely separate them. And I would do the music channel. I would get clear. If you're not already, I would get clear on exactly what it is that you're trying to do with that channel, so that you can make sure that you're putting up the right content. Because, I was watching some of your videos, and you're really talented. So I think that, sharing that talent with people and showing people how to do, what it is that you do, and understand piano the way that you do, I think would be really advantageous for you. It'd be advantageous for viewers, but from a community growing side, adding value to the world side, and being able to monetize it side, like, that's a like, with your skill set, like that, that would be a path that, if I had your skill set, that I would definitely take.
Interesting. Okay. Because I don't have a lot of piano tutorial stuff at all yet. I have a tutoring and mentoring business that I offer piano lessons as a part of, called KMAT, and math tutoring, piano, and mentorship. And I'm going to be starting a YouTube channel there, all over the place here, Nick. But I think
it's good though. That's how you find stuff, right? Like, I've been that way my entire life. Like I said, since I was 19, I've been self-employed one way or other. I've tried so many different things. Some of them have been wildly successful. Other ones have just been okay. Some of them have been just total absolute failures. And I've lost lost everything, like trying to do them. So, like, I've been all over the place, myself. And I think that that's part of, uncovering gold, is you just keep digging through the cave. Right. You just keep digging through the cave, and then, eventually you run into it, as long as you're aggressive and aggressively trying to do it, and you're being objective in terms of yourself, right? Like, is this not working because I'm being a slacker, or is this not working because because I'm way early in the journey and I still have like a ton of stuff to learn, right? Because there's two really different things. Or is it not working just because maybe there isn't, market demand, or, something like that?
Definitely. I want to be respectful of your time. I'm going to ask about 2 more questions, if I may.
Absolutely. This is a great conversation, actually. Yeah, we can keep going for a little bit if you want. Like, this is great. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Yeah, cool. I'm definitely good as well. So first off, I definitely want to make every effort to join your next live stream. So can you let me and my viewers know when you live stream?
Absolutely. I live stream every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, with the exception of this coming Saturday. This coming Saturday, we will be streaming on Daryl Eve's YouTube channel. I'm not sure when you're putting this up, but on his YouTube channel, it will be the 7th of August. and we are doing a charity live stream on his channel at that time. We're giving away tons of stuff. We got Spread Shop stuff we're giving away, TubeBuddy stuff we're giving away, Camtasia stuff we're giving away, StreamYard stuff we're giving away. Some people are giving away because there's going to be a lot of, it's like an 8 to 10 hour live stream. So there's going to be tons of different creators on there giving away a bunch of different stuff.
Nice.
But some people are giving away like YouTube coaching and, things like that as well. So, a lot of really awesome stuff going to be happening over there. So definitely, if this gets up in time, definitely make sure that you check out that live stream as well. But my stream is on my channel every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, with the exception of this Saturday. But it's like clockwork, though. I'm pretty consistent on that particular live stream. It's kind of like an event of sorts where content creators come, and during the live stream, basically, we never know when the live stream starts. We never know what it's going to actually evolve into over the course of the stream because it's a Q&A. It's a live Q&A. So basically how it works is I show up and then people start asking questions about YouTube, and I have a form that they fill out, of course, to where I can organize the questions, but they ask questions about YouTube, and then I go through that form. I'll pull some from the chat, and basically the whole stream just kind of flows like water, and it evolves through the questions that people ask.
That's incredible. And your live stream that you do at 9 a.m. on Saturdays, is that obviously not a similar flow, but is it also a place for people to ask questions and stuff? Or do you have usually like an agenda, like things that you kind of go over?
Oh, it's 100%. Like the entire thing is driven by questions. So, so basically the whole thing starts. I just give some sponsor mentions, that kind of thing. If there's any big YouTube news, like for example, they start rolling out a feature to where you can start having trailers for live streams. So, so just little things like that, I'll just let people know about that kind of thing. And then we'll get into the actual Q&A. And in addition to that, like I'll do the Q&A for usually about 2 hours or so. And then after that Q&A is up, I'll either extend it for another hour, or I have about an hour, sometimes hour and a half of the show, to where I'll bring on guests as well. So other YouTube content creators will come on and share their experience, either growing their own channels or working with clients or whatever the thing happens to be, to where we kind of all go in on questions as they come in.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, I'm a definitely plug in there. And yeah, so you mentioned new features. So I'm sure you've seen or heard about the new to you little thing on the top of. So I was watching a video on that. I think that's pretty interesting for sure. There was a lot of interesting comments under the creative, whatever the YouTube
Creator Insider.
Creator Insider, I think that's the name of it. Yep. When they were reviewing, they were talking about that. It was some comments underneath about, I guess, like features from other creators who find new features interesting. People like us that want to be sort of in the know with that stuff. And there was a lot of information about like, oh, it would be nice if ... So like one of the people said something about like for people who find a creator and they've watched their content a little bit, but then they haven't seen it in a long time for whatever reason, maybe it's not showing up in their feed or whatever the reason is, it'll be good like if there's a way to like revisit past creators. That was one comment that was on there. I think the idea for new to you is definitely interesting for people like myself and others out there who want to be in front of other people who may not, be searching for specifically what your content is about. I've discovered really interesting stuff on there actually recently, just poking around a little bit. So I think it is cool that they're offering such things. What do you think about that feature?
I agree. Any new feature that will help content creators get more, get more views, so that they get more awareness, and it helps them, accomplish whatever it is they're trying to do. It's a win. I know that for a long time, there's this myth on the internet that, at least in the YouTube communities, there's this myth that YouTube doesn't, like YouTube like holds down small channels, or that they don't show the content of small channels.
I've seen that,
but the thing is just for everybody listening, like that's not true in any way, shape, or form. Like, one, if you just think that through for literally 1 second, it's clear, because there's big channels on YouTube, which means that they had to start somewhere and then they became big channels. So that takes care of that. But in addition to that, everything is performance based. And the reason that myths like this pop up, in my opinion, in terms of the why, is because, when you are watching YouTube as a viewer, you're just having content presented to you, right? Because you don't know what's going on in the back end. You don't, like you haven't gotten that far yet because you're not a YouTuber. So it doesn't matter. You're just coming on there to watch content. So you're clicking on stuff from your homepage and you don't really know the mechanics of what's going on behind it. But what's actually happening there is you're getting served content that other people like you, who use YouTube like you, enjoy, and they have interacted with with that content in a positive way. They've watched it for a longer period of time. Maybe some people subscribe. Maybe some people click on the end screen and they go and watch another video. Maybe some people share it with their friends, that kind of thing. And, when you first get started, you're like, wait a minute, I've got 20 views. Like, what's going on? I thought that I could publish this and get, thousands of views, on my videos. But in reality, the thing is one, you probably just haven't went through that process yet of learning to play the piano, so to speak. You haven't went through that process yet of, learning how to, craft titles and thumbnails and come up with video ideas that people will click on. And if they do click on them, you might not have mastered the craft yet of being able to hook a viewer and keep them watching for a longer period of time. Therefore, your content ends up being a low performing piece of content for the platform. And then that's why it doesn't get views, because you just haven't went through that stuff yet. But coming in as a new creator, you just might not be thinking of that because you just been watching high response content the entire time that you've been consuming content on YouTube. And then in addition to that, it's also important to make sure that you are considering that the larger channels, because people are like, yeah, well, larger channels, this, that, and the other thing. But the thing with larger channels, the difference is that, like, let's say that you and I published a video, Kevin, on the same exact topic, on one channel that had 1 million subscribers and another channel that had 100 subscribers. The difference between those two is that as soon as I publish the video, or as soon as the person with 1 million subscribers, as soon as they publish that video, because they have a huge amount of people that have already interacted with that YouTube channel in the past, YouTube systems already identify that, hey, these people or people like these people typically respond to content on this channel. And topically, we are predicting that they're going to be likely to see this. So they have this huge archive of data that says who might be a good fit for that piece of content. Whereas the channel with 100 subscribers on it with not that many views, they don't have that much data behind them. So YouTube is still trying to figure out who those perfect fits are for their content. So, just keep that in mind, when you're first getting started. But in addition to that, you also want to keep in mind that even though the channel with 1 million subscribers, they published the video on one topic or on the same topic as the channel with 100 subscribers, even though the channel with 1 million subscribers might do better right out of the gate, it does not mean that their video is going to continue to do better. So let's say that you, with 100 subscribers, let's say that you published that same video, but the response for that video was off the charts in terms of people are clicking on it a lot. They're watching it, they're doing all the stuff that I keep mentioning in terms of, they're subscribing to the channel, giving it a thumbs up, commenting, sharing, all that. They go through that and that's happening at a really high rate. Then what will happen is YouTube will start showing that video to people more if it's performing better than the channel with 1 million subscribers. And over time, that video, it might not happen, the first week, but over time, that video will end up outperforming the video on the channel with 1 million subscribers. So, even the larger channels, even though we have that initial core audience that will come in and watch, whatever it is that we publish, at the end of the day, you have to remember that, those channels, they have all of that, that data behind them, which helps, but we are not guaranteed that our videos are going to perform just because we have a larger channel. So, even if you're just getting started, just keep in mind that you can compete with, with big channels on YouTube. Now, when you're thinking of that, you also want to make sure that you're not getting yourself into problems. Like, for example, do you know who Casey Neistat is, Kevin?
I don't.
Okay. So Casey Neistat, he's a really popular vlogger on YouTube. He's got a huge amount of subscribers on his channel, and he can publish a video to where it's just like his picture in the thumbnail and the title's like, I went to the mall. And because he has such a huge following, because he's known for making amazing content, people are going to click on it. They're going to flood in. He'll get, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views on that video. What happens is people that are just getting started, in that same 100 subscriber scenario, they're just getting started and they think, well, hey, Casey Neistat did this. It's working for him. I need to do that too. And then they publish a video with their face in it and it says, hey, my trip to the mall, and nobody clicks on it. And the reason for that is because they just don't have that following yet. They don't have all those people that know him yet to where it's like, oh, hey, they made a video. I know it's going to be awesome. I'm clicking on it. So, those are the things that kind of cause those myths to surface, is because people just don't understand what's going on.
That's significant. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, looking at successful videos on channels that are in a different, popularity or success, or just a different number, right? Different number of subscribers. It's not that makes a lot of sense. It's not always best to do that, because that can, there's a different situation going on behind the scenes that can cause differences there. Okay. That's definitely good to be mindful of. All
Yeah, and
right.
if you're just getting started too, it's also important, like, because because we all learn stuff, at different rates and things like that, and
Yep.
nothing teaches you better than experience. So because of that, a lot of people who make content like mine, a lot of people will recommend that you, instead of focusing on like, hey, how many subscribers do I have, how many views do I have, that you focus on your skill sets and that you focus on making 100 videos. So that over the course of that 100 videos, as long as you're focused on your skill sets and you're paying attention in terms of you're in your YouTube analytics, you're trying to figure out how to interpret your analytics, you're trying to figure out, how people are responding to your content.
Hmm.
But over the course of that 100 videos, as long as you're paying attention, by the time you get to that 100th video, you're going to learn, you're going to be way better than you were at video one at writing titles. You're going to be way better at making thumbnails, coming up with good ideas. Your actual content is going to flow completely different at
Yeah.
100 videos than it did at one. Like you mentioned earlier, Kevin, going to YouTube channels and sorting by their oldest videos first, so you can see those first videos.
Yeah.
Like if you go to my channel, for example, or any, larger channel on YouTube, if you watch that first video and then you watch the ones they're doing now, like the pacing's different, how they engage with the camera is different, like
Yeah.
everything about the
Yeah.
content is different because, you learn so much along the way. So, because of that, just focus on the skill set and focus on understanding YouTube and understanding, how the system actually works and what's important to YouTube, so that you can, leverage all of that when you're making your content in order to help YouTube accomplish what it is that they're trying to do, so that they can help you accomplish what it is that you're trying to do.
That makes total sense too. Let's talk about the bell icon. So I know that that is extremely important for posting videos as well as live streams. I started, in an effort to socialize more with other people who are regularly live streaming on YouTube, whether it's music stuff or YouTube stuff or entrepreneur, like anything that I'm kind of interested in. I'm like, I don't spend really any time watching any live streams until recently. Now I'm starting to kind of get into that mix. And so I'm like, oh, let me, I know I'm subscribed to this person. Let me hit the bell icon so that I know when they go live. Because without that, I have no idea. I'm not going to like put their live schedule on my calendar. Like that's never going to happen. So now that I do that, it's like, it's so beneficial for me to be able to just pop in, say what's up, see what's going on for a little bit, and then go about my day. So I'm starting to like try to figure out strategies to entice people who want to, like, I'm trying to be like nice, like, if you're interested in being notified when I go live, like definitely hit the subscribe bell. So like when I go live now, I'm like putting a little thing in the chat when I first go in there, or maybe even eventually when I'm in there, and like pinning a comment, appreciate you joining or whatever, and then I'll put that little blurb in there. Do you think that's a good strategy, or are there any other strategies or suggestions that you can have for people who want to, utilize that and be effective in getting people to click it?
Absolutely. So yes, that's effective. However, not everybody that subscribes and rings the bell gets the notifications, which is bizarre. But basically,
Yeah.
when
Okay.
it comes to people subscribing and clicking the bell, they have different options in terms of the notifications that they want to get. And even within that, not everybody has the ability to receive a notification, meaning
Mm.
that they have all that blocked on their phone. They don't allow the
Yeah.
notifications on their browser. So even though you might publish your live stream or your piece of video content, it does not mean that all those people who have, who've turned the bell on are going to see it. So
Yeah.
because of that, the best thing that you can do, and I know this is going to sound not necessarily like against the bell thing, but because you want people to subscribe, you want people to ring the bell so the people that can get the notifications can. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it comes down to your content. So if you continually come up with ideas and package those videos up in terms of the title and thumbnail, if you continually do that towards the people that are interacting with your channel, that you want to interact with your channel, and then you continually deliver in terms of you always put content together that they're getting value from and that they
Mm.
enjoy and that they leave with something, right? With every
Mm.
piece of content, if it's a live stream or a piece of video content,
Yeah.
define it. Like, what are the people going to leave with by the time they're done with this video? And if you can't define it, then don't publish it because you're not adding any value. So make sure you
Mm.
define the value. But basically, at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to make the content, and you want to make the content good, because if you make the content good, then people are going to want to come back without them
Mm.
having to be notified. People are going to, like in my case, right? Because what I do is I basically teach people about YouTube for like a few hours straight during my live streams. So because of that, I have people that, because I've been doing this consistently for a long period of time, to where my live streams are their Saturday morning. So, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
they'll wake up while they're getting ready, while they're having their, you know, breakfast, while they're, you know, kind of getting, you know, their thing ready for the day. They're listening to my live stream. It's like it's part of their life cycle every
Yeah.
week. And
Yeah.
ultimately, that's what you want. You want your video content, you want your live stream content to eventually be within the life cycle of the people that are most engaged in your YouTube channel. If you do that, then people are going to naturally subscribe. They're going to naturally, you know, click the bell. Of course, you can increase that by, you know, by really working on your calls to action. But at the end of the day, the video content and adding value to your audience is going to bring you way more gains than anything else that you can do on your YouTube channel.
That's yeah, that definitely need to hear that. Yeah, having some just added renewed focus on the value add for your viewers, basically. And that's I think that is absolute key there. Are
And
you
just
on
keep
Twitch?
delivering over and over. Just keep
Keep
delivering over and
keep
over.
delivering
Yep.
over and over. Got you. Are you on Twitch as well?
No.
You don't use
I
okay.
mean,
So
I've
for
got a
that,
Twitch account just because, you know, you got to secure the name and all that good stuff. But I have a Twitch
sure.
account. I've actually made some. We were talking about music earlier. I actually in Beatmaker 3 on my iPad. I
Nice.
actually had a period of time to where, let's see, was it after my live stream? I can't remember when I was doing it, but I would go live like, you know, maybe once a week or twice a week, and I had just like an overhead shot of my iPad with Beatmaker, and then I would just sit
Nice.
there and kind of, you know, hammer out beats on Beatmaker as well.
That's
So
cool,
that
man.
was
Yeah.
my that's what I was doing on Twitch, but it wasn't anything serious. Like I had, you know, just like a handful of people that come in and hang out, but that was cool because, you know, it was something different. You know, I wasn't talking about
Yeah.
YouTube at the time. So it was
Yeah.
like, hey, people are coming in, they're listening to me, you know, kind of hammer out these beats, which everybody that makes music, you know, you want other people to vibe out to what it is that you're doing. So just having
Yes.
other people that were sticking around and listening, even though it wasn't a lot, was
Yeah.
totally happy. Like, hey, there's like, you know, 4 people in here that are like sticking around. They're like, you know, they're
Yeah.
digging. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally could relate to that. Yes. So yeah, this is so much great information. I'm so excited to put some of this to use and continue you know, being a part of your community, and like I said, tap into your lives on Saturdays. I think that the thing that you mentioned, yeah, just about being consistent with specific live streaming. Now I'm thinking about being consistent, having one or two or whatever fits into your life, into your lifestyle, but being consistent with the live streams and providing that value, and you know, knowing that people are coming back, you start seeing the same names and stuff like that. Like that's a really dope thing, I think, when you think about, you know, you providing that value. And I mean, the stuff that you're providing here to me, you know, I could only imagine on the live streams, people are getting like, they're like, wow, I'm able to interact with the person who really understands this thing that I want to be successful at. I will sign up for that 10 out of 10 times. That is the framework that I'm thinking about now, a more, you know, a lot more. When you just kind of poured into me when you said that if you had the musical skill sets that I had, and you have the YouTube, you know how and knowledge, you said you would be doubling down on providing content to educate people on this music, you know, music thing that's in my mind. So thinking about that during these live streams, as opposed to the just having fun and just playing and people listen for a little bit and leave, that is what that's going to be a major thing for me. One day a week, have a date, have a time that maybe is global, kind of like, I'm sure you thought about 9 a.m. as being some time that people across the world can kind of, you
Yeah, I
know.
try to ride the time zones. So what you want to think about when it comes to picking a specific time is you want to think about the target people that you're trying to reach and what their life might be like. So for example, let's say, and I know this isn't your scenario, but I'm just giving the scenario because it's easy.
Yeah.
Like let's say that you are somebody that's trying to reach like single moms, right? Then in that case, you know, you probably don't want to be publishing your videos during a time where they would be getting their kids ready for school, or you
Mm-hmm.
know, during the time where maybe the kids just got off to school and now they got to hurry to get ready to go to work, right? Because they're, you know, they wake up, they're busy from the time,
Yeah.
you know, they wake up, or single dad, whatever, like they're busy as soon as they
Mm-hmm.
wake up. So you probably wouldn't want to publish, you know, in the morning time for those people, because you know, just wouldn't, consuming your content at that point in time just doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, you'd want to think like, okay, do I want to reach them after work, maybe catch them on a lunch break, and then kind of start, you know, your publishing there. But when
Mm-hmm.
you are live, you know, you really got to make sure that you're paying attention to that. Luckily, YouTube has in our analytics to where they will show us the people that are interacting with our content. It'll show us when they are online the most. They give us a
Mm-hmm.
graph that shows us that. So with a live stream, you want to go live when you are you have the darkest purple. You want to go live like 1 or 2 right before the darkest purple.
I gotta look at that too. Spend some more time digging around at in the analytics, understanding it, using it to your advantage.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Love
here's
that.
the thing is with analytics, like, it's like, it's unfortunate that, as creatives, that a lot of people look at YouTube analytics as an intimidating thing,
Hmm.
because from a creative standpoint, when you're looking at your analytics, your brain should be going, okay, this is how people are responding. What can I do? And this is where you get to do your creative flex. What can I do to keep people watching for a little bit longer?
Hmm.
What can I do to get people clicking a little bit more? How can I resonate deeper with the people that are watching my content so they'll subscribe more? How can I
Yeah.
add more value to them so they'll subscribe more? Like when you start digging in your analytics, and you'll see like, hey, these two videos, they got almost the same amount of views on them. Why does this one have like 2 or 3 times the amount of subscribers? And then you got to start digging into that. Like, was I saying something in here that resonated with people? Was it a specific,
Mm-hmm.
way that I structured the content? Was it my tone during that
Mm-hmm.
video? Was I just,
Yeah.
did I come across just overly, kind or, connectable, during that particular video compared to my other content? But,
Mm-hmm.
like when you start digging into your analytics, there's like what you see when you're looking at the numbers, but then you also have to think of like, okay, these numbers are all represented, or these numbers are representing how people, human beings on YouTube, have interacted with my content. So
Yeah.
what I need to do is when I'm looking at these numbers, I need to say, okay, well, out of the impressions that I got, this is what my click-through rate is compared to my other content. This is not that great. So because of that, why? Why do I think it's not that great? Is it my
Mm.
facial expression didn't really match? Is it that, that I just wasn't as clear in this particular thumbnail and title as I typically am? Is the topic of this video, not as, just not as interesting? Like, what's going on there? But basically, when you start digging into your YouTube analytics, it's literally a roadmap that helps you fine tune your content into something better that helps people enjoy it better, which then ultimately ends up helping you as well. And it's unfortunate because, I mean, it's fortunate that we get that information, but it's unfortunate that a lot of content creators don't educate themselves on YouTube analytics, because YouTube is hard, and sometimes you can be doing everything right, but you might just have like a couple of fail points. And if you're just paying attention and you're looking in your analytics, you can find those fail points and you can patch them. And then once you patch those fail points, your channel can take off. So, so because of that, even though on the creative side, it's like, hey, I just want to make stuff, right? There's
Mhm.
that. And I support that. But on the other side, there's the, okay, I want to make stuff. But if I'm making stuff and I'm putting in all this effort, then I need to go in and I need to do the work side of YouTube, which is understanding my analytics, putting a little bit of strategy behind what I'm doing and all that, but
Yeah.
understanding the analytics so that I can make better content for people, so that I'll get way more attention on all the different things that I'm doing, all the different creative things that you're releasing out into the world. So, even though it's the work side of YouTube, it is a serious part of being a content creator. And especially if you're somebody that has been publishing content and your channel's just kind of stuck and it's like, man, I just don't know what's going on, look in your analytics, because usually in that case, you'll find out if like your channel's not going anywhere, you'll find out that either your audience retention, basically what that is for people that don't know, YouTube gives us a graph for each video. And that graph is a second by second interpretation of how people are responding to our content. So that graph tells you, hey, in this part of the video, a lot of people left. Or when the video first started, people were just leaving like crazy. So what's going on there? Like, why are people leaving this in the first place? Is my hook not good enough? Was I taking too long to get to the content? Did I just have parts? Let's say it's a live stream. Did I just have parts where like I was just kind of getting ready for the live stream? Nothing was really going on. People are, coming in. And if you notice those types of things, then you can say, okay, well, I have a huge drop off here. So maybe I need to work on my audio quality because my audio sucks and it's causing people to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to work on the actual hook in terms of what it is that I'm telling people when the video first starts. Maybe instead of, getting my live stream ready after I'm live, that I need to be ready to go, have everything perfectly in place. So then as soon as I hit go live, for that one person that might come
Hmm.
in right after that live button is clicked, the show's already started, like it's going and they can participate. So, when you start digging into your analytics, you can start uncovering things like that in terms of your audience retention reports, how people are clicking on your videos. So, for example, one of the things that you've mentioned during our conversation a lot is search. So, You know, like you'll find out, like if you notice that like a majority of your traffic's coming from search, but you're not getting anything from recommendation features, you can go into your YouTube analytics and you can look at videos and you can see, hey, I'm getting a lot of search traffic here, but I'm not getting hardly anything from recommendation features. What that means is that you're just not being compelling in your packaging. Like you're not able to get people to click on what it is that you're doing. Another thing as well that you'll see there is if you go into your traffic source reports in your YouTube analytics, you'll be able to see people that are coming from home pages watch for this long. They're clicking at this rate. People that come from search are watching for this long. And they're clicking at this rate. Suggested videos are clicking at this rate and they're watching for this long, so that you can start looking for those things. So it's like if you're not getting that traffic from the recommendation features, then you're just not being compelling enough. Like I mentioned before, when people are looking in search, they're looking for what you made. It's easy. When you are trying to grab attention from a home page, totally different game, because the way that YouTube works is they are predicting all of the content that's going to be the best fit for that person when they log into YouTube or as they're scrolling through their phone. They're considering all of the content that's going to be a perfect fit for that viewer, and that's what you're competing with. So because of that, you have to make sure that you're being extremely compelling, because you're competing with other content that YouTube systems are predicting that person is going to be extremely likely to watch at that same exact moment that they're showing your content as well.
Yeah. So
crazy.
That is so interesting. That's like that's the thumbnail, the title, and like you kept saying, like the first few seconds, if the thumbnail and title are good enough and they click it, and then those first few seconds are just not it for them, it's like, nope, we have like 20 other things that are going to be, that YouTube knows I'm going to be interested in, or knows, you know. That's fascinating. Here's what I'm taking. There's so much information here, and what I'm learning, and you mentioned it too, when you said 0 to 100, you know, like when you first start your channel up to 100, there's so much information. And what I sometimes have struggled with in the past, and I'm getting better at it, is being able to understand that that's okay, that there's a lot of information, because no one is saying that, okay, you need to watch this 1.5 hour video and you need to apply all of this to your next video. It's like, no. Take a pen, take a piece of paper, take some notes of like the top 10 things that we talked about here, and literally just, you know, maybe focus on one per video or something like that, one per week, and kind of get into like a habit. Once one of these things is in autopilot, now, all right, I feel very comfortable with my thumbnails. I feel like they are where they need to be. All right, now let me start working on the hook. I think the hook is a major thing. That, like, if you look at if you look at all of my, and you're probably going to look at this and be like, yeah, Kev, that's not the way to do it. I have a little intro, like nice song that I made, and like little clips of like my interviews and stuff like that for like the last maybe 10 to 15 episodes of KL Experience. It's like 45 seconds long, and it's like you know, show intro. Say it again.
Yeah, you definitely want to get rid of that. Yeah, yeah, like, okay, so one thing to think about, and this is where leaning on the viewer experience is the priority, like top priority is really important, is watch your content. Like, watch your content and think to yourself, because when you watch your own content, when you're like, hey, let me check this and just kind of see, you know, how this video came together, you probably skip that 45-second intro when you click on your own videos, because you know, hey, I got this 45-second intro, let me get into the content and see how I was, you know, performing in the content. Viewers do the same exact thing, or they'll just leave the video. Like, there's so many options on YouTube of great content to watch that every single person that comes in, you have to make sure that you're taking care of that person. So when you have a 45-second sequence when your video first starts, like people do that same thing with like, you know, 10 or 15-second, you know, like logo intros and things like that. You want to get rid of all that stuff, especially when you're first, you know, trying to get the ball rolling. And the reason it's the most important at that point in time is because, you know, every view, you know, is sending YouTube data on how good you are at YouTube. So because of that, you want to make sure that, you know, anything that's going to distract from the viewer experience, like intros or big long calls to action when your video first starts, you know, a lot of YouTubers will be like, you know, hey, welcome to the video, without showing any content at all. Hey, welcome to the video. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, share this with a friend, click on all the stuff I got in the description, support me on Patreon, all these things, right? But at the end of the day, the viewers, they're clicking on it for the content. So, you know, the viewer first and think, okay, when the viewer clicks on this, like, how can I get them into what it is that they actually came for as fast as possible? And one of those ways is taking out logo intros, taking out those, you know, long sequences for, you know, for the branding side of what it is that you're doing. There's a place for the branding, but especially when you're first getting started, that is not it. You want to make sure that you're just focusing on getting people to watch longer, and that you're using that. Okay, let me do it this way. If you have a 45-second intro sequence, then right now you have hardly any information on how people respond to your actual content. Because I'm going to guess if you look in your audience retention reports during that 45-second sequence, tons of people are gone by the time that sequence is over, which means they don't even get a chance to experience you and what it is that you're sharing. So because of that, you've missed an opportunity to connect with, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people through the people that are clicking on your content. So, you want to make sure that with those types of things that you're just completely leaving out anything that would interrupt the viewer experience, especially when you're first getting started, because what you need when you're first starting is you need data on how people respond to you and what it is that you're doing. If you are filling that space with logo intros and things like that, then you aren't really going to be able to tell, like, okay, are they leaving because of me? Are they leaving because they're not getting what they want fast enough? Are they leaving, for whatever? Because that logo intro is taking up, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 45 seconds, in some cases. So, you want to look at that and you just want to be like, hey, this is not a plus for the viewer experience. And if you think about it from your perspective, how many times do you go onto YouTube? How many times do you open up your phone, right? You're like, man, I hope that I see a good intro. Like I'm clicking on this video. I really hope I see like a really good intro on this video. Have you ever said that to yourself?
No, I hate intros. No.
Yeah, me too. Right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, think of the viewer, right? Think of the viewer. It's about like YouTube, even though it's about you, it's really about them, right? From the creator. It's not about you, it's about them. I mean, it is about you, because you will grow your community and the people that, that like and resonate with you. But at the end of the day, you're creating content for other people to consume. So make it about those other people and they'll consume it.
Dang, that's super helpful. Yeah. Okay. So that's some great information, man. I feel so rejuvenated and excited to get this episode out. I'm gonna do like a live premiere. I've been doing a live premiere on a lot of these videos lately, just to kind of give myself an opportunity to interact with the audience and the guests if they have, if they're on YouTube, to be able to join and interact and stuff. So I'll definitely I'll message you. I'll let you know like when. I'm thinking like sooner than later, right? For this, certain episodes, I feel like the call to action to get it out sooner. So I'm gonna ask you one more question and then we'll wrap up, man. So I want to ask about music, like a dream concert. So if you have a chance to go to a dream concert of yours where 5 artists are performing, spanning the history of time, so living or dead, which 5 artists would you choose to be performing at your concert?
Amos Lee, Willie Nelson, Eminem. Of all time, Michael Jackson. Got to put him on the list.
Nice.
And man, down to one more. Who's gonna fill that spot? Man, that's tough. That's really tough. Let's go with, probably like Jay-Z.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, he's a good entertainer. I'll watch some of his live stuff on YouTube, things like that. Really good entertainer. So so I'll put him on that list.
That's dope, man. Yeah. So 2 of those people would be on mine, man. Eminem and Michael Jackson would be on. Those are my 2 of my top 5 favorite artists. Imagine, that's really cool. So were you an M fan from like way back, like when he first? Okay. Yeah. I became a fan of his when most people who like him felt like he fell off. So I started listening to him when he dropped his Recovery album. And that's when I started listening. And of course, I've gone back and listened to MMLP and stuff and know how that's like one of the best hip hop albums. He's just, man, even now, like people like raps too fast or he does this or he's too this, too that. I'm like, I'll listen to, his latest 2 albums that just came out. I'm like, come on. Like, this is like, no one has this kind of wordplay, and it's just so good to me. He's up there, like top 2 favorite hip hop artists for me personally.
Same. Yeah. He's an innovator. Yeah. And not just how he, puts his words together, but in addition to that, the instrumentals that he chooses to go with his words as well. That's major. like just all the way around. Like he's just, he kills it. Clearly, right? Yes, clearly,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You can't say anything bad about him. Man. So, except for the fact that my wife always brings up the song Kim. She knows about that song Kim from MMLP 1, I believe, and she's like, "Oh yeah, so you like listen to a song about a guy killing his wife?" And I'm like, let's calm down. Let's calm down for a second here. All right. Let me explain. Let me explain real quick.
And times are
Oh
different
man.
now. Times are different now too than they were then.
Oh
Like,
man.
like that song coming out now, no way.
Not a
But
chance.
back in the day, yeah,
Yeah.
not an issue back then.
Yeah. Man, so I mentioned it earlier. I'm just, yeah, super appreciative. You're a great guy, man. You have such a great way about you in terms of, first of all, your willingness to support. This is supporting my channel. This is huge for me. This is like a milestone type interview. So I'm very appreciative of that. I learned a ton of things that I'm excited to put to practice. Like I mentioned before, I'm excited to be a part of your community, interact with your community a little bit and check out your lives. And I think, people that may not have heard of you from my channel, don't know if there's a lot or a little bit, but people who maybe are on my channel but aren't YouTuber, aren't creators, right? But maybe are thinking about becoming creators. This might be an opportunity for them to kind of get started and learn, and like a sort of comprehensive, complete package for them. So I'm excited to be able to provide that to them. And I'll give you a chance to, say anything else that you like to share before we wrap.
Absolutely. If for the people that are considering going onto YouTube, start now. And the reason that you want to start now is because, one, there's a lot to learn. So don't wait for a fancy camera. Don't wait for any of that. If you have to, just start making content on your phone, set it on some bookshelves, just make sure it's straight, start making content. The reason for that is because there's a lot to learn, and sometimes it can take time. Some people will get through it quickly. Other people, it'll take them a while. So because of that, you want to go ahead and get started, and keep in mind that when you make a video, that it doesn't need to go on the internet. Like, you don't have to put it on the internet when you're done. Just start going through the process of, okay, hey, I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to make this video on this thing. So let me start working that muscle of how do I actually put this together? How do I, communicate to the camera and through the camera to the audience, and just focus all of your energy on, building those skill sets and doing it through practice. If you do that and you're paying attention to what's going on, you're being objective in terms of, when you're looking at your stats, like when you publish your content, you want it to be as good as you can make it, but don't think it's the best, because it's not. So when you are publishing your content, just look at it from the perspective of, everything that I publish, I can do better. I'm just continuing to grow my skill sets. And as I grow my skill sets, everything that I'm doing is going to get better. And the reason that you want to take that approach is because, like I said, YouTube is hard. And when you're first getting started, if you don't see the results that you want right out of the gate, or you start watching your productions and you're thinking like, man, I'm just not good at this right now, that can be really, discouraging, and it can make you quit. But if YouTube is something that you are like, hey, yeah, I would love to do YouTube as either like a serious thing or as like a side thing, just get started so that you can start practicing the craft of doing it. Just like, when it comes to music, you have to get the instrument, and then you have to start playing that instrument in order to ever even consider being good at that instrument. YouTube is the same exact way. You have to actually start making content and start publishing content so you can start getting some data back on YouTube that will help you learn how to make better content. So get started now if you are considering it. And if you are already started and you're getting the ball rolling, but things are going a little bit slow, hold, right? Like, keep making content, don't quit. And like on my channel, it took me 5 months to get my first 150,000 subscribers. At that point in time, I had no idea that all the different opportunities and people and everybody that I was going to meet, and the opportunity, like, I've been flown to like Armenia 2 years in a row to teach like a group of Armenian students about YouTube. So, like what it is that you're getting into, like, there's opportunities that will come out that you can't even imagine that are coming. So because of that, just, stay the course and just stay focused on whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish with your YouTube channel. Keep serving your audience, make everything it is that you're doing about them. And over time, you'll do fine.
Man, that's incredible. My man, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, really appreciate it, and excited about, the future, your channel, my channel, and our communities to continue growing, and having fun with it, having fun with the experience and the process,
Yeah, you got to have fun, because like I said before, it's hard. If you're not having fun, then you're gonna be like, oh my God, this sucks. But if you're having fun, you're like, yeah, you know what? This might not be perfect right now, but I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to do the best that I can right now.
Yes.
Just, you got to have a good time. Like, as soon as you stop having a good time, that's where, things like burnout happen. And that's where, you start just kind of just not enjoying what it is that you're doing. You end up walking away. So yeah, you got to make sure that you're including the fun element. And in addition to that, when we first started our conversation, Kevin, you also mentioned networking. So, if you're somebody that's listening to this, also once you start your YouTube channel, start connecting with other YouTubers. There's a Facebook group called Tube Ritual. fantastic Facebook group for connecting with other YouTube content creators. A friend of mine runs it. His name is Brian T. Johnson. Also, there's tons of content. I don't care if you watch my content or somebody else's. It doesn't matter to me. But what I want you to do is if you start, if you have your YouTube channel, like watch some YouTube help content from time to time, because, there's a lot of just great information shared. And if you have a YouTube channel, I recommend that you go through the YouTube Creator Academy as well. It's free. It's put out by YouTube. You can consume it all on your phone, not a big deal. And that one's actually a little bit structured, where they take you through a process versus just random video after random video. But I recommend that you go through that as well, so you can give yourself, the best chance.
Awesome. Awesome. And you didn't mention anything. I didn't ask anything about this. This will be the last thing. Do you offer services, one-on-one group stuff? Like how can people go deeper in their YouTube, a personalized experience with what you offer?
Right now, I'm only offering consulting temporarily through my video editing service that we started. And the temporary part is because I can only take, so many people through that. So, once it's filled, which I've only got like one more spot left, for it to be filled up anyway. By the time this publishes, it'll probably be filled. But through that would be one way. But at the end of the day, just watch my videos. And if you watch my videos or just other content like mine, you'll get an understanding of, the general idea of what to do. Once you get the ball rolling, of course, then, that's the time that, if you can't get past certain points, that's when you want to reach out for help. But really, there's so much, free information all over the internet about YouTube that you can really get a good understanding, enough to get you going, without having to spend any money on anything, gear included. I actually have a video on my channel about a guy who got 100,000 subscribers on his channel using nothing but a phone, no microphone, no anything, just his iPhone running around Bangkok. So, like you can do it even with equipment to where you might think like, I don't have all the fancy stuff, like you can still do it. So just educate yourself, just like with anything else in life that you want to succeed at, educate yourself, and you can do, a majority of that through free content. But if you do run to a point to where you're like, I just can't get past this point, then that means that you're at your limit in terms of how you're interpreting everything. So that's when you might want to reach out for help. But in terms of me, you can connect with me on Twitter. Just Nick Nimmin on Twitter. You can go to my YouTube channel there, or you can go to my website, nicknimmin.com. And then I have links out to all my socials from there. So that's it. Awesome. I've got nothing to sell you.
That's it. No, that's.
I mean, I've got a ton of stuff to sell you, but nothing in terms of like, consulting and like.
Yeah. Well, that's cool in its own right, for reasons that I think we're both aware. Like you're doing it for the right reason, and that's always a great thing. All right, my man. Let me give you back the rest of your evening. I'm gonna also head out and grab some lunch right now. Have an awesome rest of your evening, and I look forward to continuing to connect with you in the near future.
Likewise. Hey, just as a heads up, man, this has been a great conversation. Like I do these things, from time to time, and like, a lot of times, it's the same questions like over and over again. Like this has been an awesome conversation, by the way. So thanks for having me on. It's been awesome, connecting with you.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you enjoyed it just as much as I did. Take care, my man. Have a great rest of your evening.
All right, take care.